There's something irresistible about the unknown, don't you think? Tales of demons and spirits have haunted humanity since the dawn of time. Our fascination rooted in equal parts fear and curiosity. Today, we'll delve into a few of these chilling stories. Some are whispered legends passed down through generations, while others creep a little too close to reality. So, grab a light, fortify your courage, and let's begin. But be warned, these stories are not for the faint of heart. The shadows hide more than what meets the eye. So, grab a light, silence once shattered courage can never be reclaimed. In a small, forgotten village nestled deep in the mountains, there was a curious tradition. Once a year, a bonfire was lit in the center of the town square, and every villager gathered to stand in absolute silence. It wasn't a celebration, it was an offering. Legend held that a demon named Asthariel roamed those mountains, hungry not for food, but for memories. The silence was meant to keep Asthariel at bay, because a single spoken word became an invitation, and if anyone dared to speak, Asthariel would come, drawn to the unfortunate soul who broke the pact, and bargain with them in a voice as smooth as poisoned honey. One particular year, a boy named Elias decided to test the legend. He was young, brash, and desperate, for his mother was dying of an illness no village healer could cure. As the bonfire crackled and the villagers stood frozen under the weight of their unbreaking silence, Elias let a single word escape his lips: "Please." The air seemed to change, growing thick and cold. The villagers scattered, terrified. And there, emerging from the shadows cast by the fire, was Asthariel. The demon was subtle in appearance, almost human-like, with piercing eyes that seemed to read every hidden corner of your soul. He smiled at Elias, and in a voice that vibrated like low music said,
"What is it you desire?"
Elias trembled but didn't falter.
"Save my mother. Cure her illness."
Asthariel tilted his head, considering.
"I can grant your wish," the demon said, "but every gift has a price. I'll take from you what you value most."
Elias nodded without hesitation. "I accept."
"Done."
The next morning, Elias awoke to find his mother alive, healed as though the sickness had never touched her. But when he tried to speak to her or any other villager, he found that his voice was no longer his. He could open his mouth, form the words, but no sound would come out. Asthariel had granted his wish. But in doing so, he had stolen the very thing that had summoned the demon in the first place. But no one in the nearby towns would set foot there after sunset. The lake, they said, was cursed. The story went back centuries to a woman named Eliza Harrow, for whom the lake was named. She had been the wife of a fisherman, a kind and giving soul, but her life ended in tragedy. One stormy evening, her husband's boat capsized in the lake, and he was swallowed by the dark waters. Consumed by grief, Eliza walked into the lake in her wedding dress and was never seen again. But the whispers began soon after. It was said that her spirit lingered, searching for her husband. Sometimes, fishermen would claim to see a translucent figure gliding across the water, dressed in white, her face hidden beneath a veil. Those who paddled too close to the apparition often heard her whisper, "Where is he? Tell me!" One summer night, a group of teenagers decided to camp by the lake. The sun began to set, casting a warm orange glow over the lake. The teenagers continued to set up their campsite, their excitement and chatter filling the air. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, the teenagers gathered around a roaring campfire. They had grown tired of hearing their parents' warnings and wanted
One
to prove
summer
the
night,
legend
a group
was
of
nothing
teenagers
more than a
decided to
scary
camp by
bedtime
the
story.
lake.
They had grown tired of hearing their parents' warnings and wanted to prove the legend was nothing more than a scary bedtime story. Among them was Kelly, who was just bold enough to paddle out onto the lake in a small canoe. Her friends dared her to do it, and Kelly never backed down from a dare. As the canoe drifted to the center of the lake, dark clouds rolled in, and a mist began to rise from the water. That's when Kelly saw her, the figure in white, standing impossibly on the surface of the lake. The spirit slowly turned, her veil lifting to reveal empty, black eyes. Kelly screamed, and that scream echoed across the shore for just a moment before absolute silence fell. Her friends waited for her to return, but the canoe floated back to shore, empty. Kelly was never seen again. The next morning, they found her shoes beside the lake, soaking wet. To this day, people say Eliza Harrow finally found someone to take her husband's place. Mirrors. They reflect our image back to us. But have you ever wondered, what if something else was looking back? This story is about Nina, an artist who inherited an antique mirror from her grandmother. It was a beautiful object, its gilded edges carved with intricate vine patterns. But it had a flaw, a faintly visible crack, running diagonally across its surface. Nina placed it in her studio, thinking nothing of it. After all, it was just a mirror, wasn't it? Over time, though, Nina began to notice strange things. She'd glance at the mirror after long nights of painting and swear there was something off. Shadow. A ripple in the glass where there should have been none. Dismissing it as exhaustion, she kept working. One evening, she was finishing up a painting when she glanced at the mirror again. This time, her reflection didn't match her movements. She froze, blood running cold, as the image of herself in the mirror smiled, a wide, eerie smile that she was not making. Terrified, she covered the mirror with a sheet and tried to forget about it. But the strange incidents didn't stop. At night, she could hear faint whispers coming from the sheet-covered object, indecipherable yet hauntingly persistent. Finally, she went to an antique dealer for answers. He examined the mirror carefully before paling with realization. "This isn't just a mirror," he said. "It's a watcher. A spirit used it as a doorway. Covering it won't help. You need to destroy it." That night, with trembling hands, Nina took a hammer to the mirror. As the glass shattered, a blood-curdling scream filled the room, and for a split second, she saw a shadowy figure dart out of the shards. It was over, or so she thought. But even now, Nina swears that when she walks past her studio window, she sometimes glimpses that shadow reflected, lurking, waiting. Demons and spirits, they terrify us not just because of what they do, but because of what they make us question. Our trust in what we see, what we hear, and even what we know about reality. Their stories remind us that there's more to this world than meets the eye. Superstition, maybe. But then again, have you ever sensed something watching you when you were completely alone? Or felt a chill that couldn't be explained? Perhaps the line between myth and reality is thinner than we'd like to believe. Sleep well, if you can. They terrify us not just because of what they do, but because of what they make us question, our trust in what we see, what we hear, and even what we know about reality. Their stories remind us that there's more to this world than meets the eye. Superstition? Maybe. Nina couldn't shake off the feeling that something was still watching her. Even after she destroyed the mirror, she began to wonder if she had really seen the shadowy figure, or if it was just her imagination playing tricks on her. Their stories remind us that there's more to this world than meets the eye. Superstition? Maybe. But then again, have you ever sensed something watching you when you were completely alone? Or felt a chill that couldn't be explained? Perhaps the line between myth and reality is thinner than we'd like to believe. Sleep well, if you can. Who is the real king of demons? There's something irresistible about the unknown, don't you think? Tales of demons and spirits have haunted humanity since the dawn of time. Our fascination rooted in equal parts fear and curiosity. Today we'll delve into a few of these chilling stories. Some are whispered legends, passed down through generations, while others creep a little too close to reality. So, grab a light, fortify your courage, and let's begin. Demons and spirits. They terrify us not just because of what they do, but because of what they make us question. Our trust in what we see, what we hear, and even what we know about reality. Their stories remind us that there's more to this world than meets the eye. Superstition? Maybe. But then again, have you ever sensed something watching you when you were completely alone? Or felt a chill that couldn't be explained? Perhaps the line between myth and reality is thinner than we'd like to believe. Sleep well, if you can. In the ancient sands of time, there existed beings known as jinn, spirits of fire, unseen but ever present. They were neither wholly good nor evil, but their nature was as volatile as the desert wind. Long ago, a pact was made between humans and jinn, an agreement that was meant to maintain harmony. But when humans, driven by greed and arrogance, broke this pact, the jinn sought revenge. Their vengeance was swift and relentless. The jinn unleashed storms that tore through villages, leaving nothing but whispers of their fury carried by the wind. Humans, once the masters of their domain, found themselves at the mercy of beings they could not see, could not touch, but most definitely could fear. And so the jinn retreated, their revenge exacted. They left the humans to learn a harsh lesson. In the dance between mortals and spirits, respect must be mutual, or balance will be shattered.